the 2018-2019 annual Convocation, where we welcome our staff and our faculty back to school. As part of our agenda today, our staff and our faculty will be engaged in training for the morning portion of our Convocation. And in the afternoon, most of our staff and faculty will go back to their respective schools, or they will still be engaged in training. Check out some of the training.
Good morning, and once again, that was very weak. We are at the start of the school year, so you should be well rested, refreshed. Let's do this right. Good morning, Greenburgh Central School District, staff and faculty. I know it's hot. I know it's hot in here. The temperature is supposed to rise to about 90 degrees, which means it's going to be probably about 95 in here. I know that our original agenda indicates that we'll be here until 10, but I'm going to alter that. You're welcome. What I am going to do is we're going to move through our morning welcome address very quickly. We're hoping to be done in about less than an hour, as opposed to an hour and a half. And then I'd like to give you all an opportunity to meet with your union leadership before the next set of workshops, which begins at 10 o'clock. With that being said, I'd like to go ahead and begin the program. I'd like to call Mr. Steve Lewis to the front. I don't see him. Where is he? There he is. How can I miss Steven? You know what you probably don't know, you think that Mr. Lewis is the person who's just responsible and have oversight over the TV studio, but he's also multi-talented. Mr. Lewis is going to lead us through the national anthem before we get started. Yes, honey. Yes, honey. Before we get started. So I ask that we please all rise.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight. Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say that star-spangled banner, yeah, wave. Oh, the land of the free and the home of the
Let's give it up again for Mr. Stephen Lewis. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. I really appreciate it. You guys didn't know Mr. Lewis was that talented, did you? Now you know. I'd like to call up our board president, Mr. David Warner.
Four-page speech. I'm gonna read as fast as I can. Hace calor. Ni hao. Buenos dias. Good morning. Greetings on behalf of the Board of Education. We're all leaders on a journey toward creating a world-class school district. We're educating our students to be lifelong learners who will successfully engage in a rapidly changing, interconnected global community. First, welcome to the new staff members and thanks to the Greenburgh Central veterans for all your hard work in the past years. Thanks to the teachers, the assistants, the aides, the administrators, the coaches, and the support staff. Give yourself a round of applause. Whether you teach students directly, rally the troops, manage the money, maintain and repair our facilities, support technology or the arts, or address social or psychological issues, you are integral to our students' education, and we appreciate your contribution. Xie ni, gracias, thank you. At Greenburgh Central School District, our mission is to educate our students in an environment in which they will develop a lifelong love of learning and successfully engage in a rapidly changing, interconnected global community. In 2016, we developed a 5-year strategic plan to become a world-class school district by 2021. At the 2016 Convocation, we talked about the kind of world we're preparing our students to live in and the tools they need to succeed in that world. In 2017, in the aftermath of the 2016 presidential election, a variety of domestic, international, environmental, and social justice issues divided and continue to divide the country. The environment beyond our community could be significantly less than welcoming for our students. So in addition to our base message, we talked about examples of everyday persistence and grit in the face of adversity. Examples included Dorothy Vaughan, a black woman at 1960s NASA and the reality-based movie Hidden Figures, Oscar, a graduate student at Lehman College who triumphed through sheer stubbornness, Lan, a female software engineer who was set up to fail but didn't, and Roger A., who developed a new product line in spite of the less than supportive environment around him. After my speech, a teacher approached me regarding Angela Duckworth's book and TED Talk, Grit, the Power of Passion and Persuasion. Angela Duckworth is a psychologist and former 7th grade math teacher in New York City schools. She studied West Point cadets, Scripps National Spelling Bee contestants, teachers, sales personnel, and Chicago area students to see what made them successful in the long run. She found that grit is a better predictor of long-term success in school and career than any other factor, including standardized test scores and socioeconomic background. Grit is learned behavior, therefore it can be taught. I highly recommend her book. That's Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. Grit, the Power of Passion and Perseverance by Angela Duckworth. Now, here we are in 2018, at the beginning of the 3rd year of our strategic plan. This year, I'd like to go back to basics. I'm going to briefly review what our students need to learn to succeed in the world beyond school, then map those needs to the programs we have in place. I will do this only at a very high level. Our superintendent may go deeper if there's time. As adults, our students will live in a diverse and complex, ever-changing world. To survive and thrive, they need to become technically proficient, multilingual, lifelong learners who understand and respect cultural complexity and diversity. In 2016, I said, 1, the robots are coming. I talked about the Uber cars in Pittsburgh that drive themselves. That's no longer news. Google spin-off Waymo has logged 8 million computer-driven miles. GM and Ford are testing self-driving vehicles. For the first time in history, a pedestrian was killed by a self-driving Uber in March. They shut the program down, added safety features, and started phasing it back in July. It's not going to stop. I talked about the automated factory floor at Amazon.com. Most of the manufacturing jobs are gone, but there are jobs programming and maintaining the robots. Meanwhile, about 36% of adults in the world, not the US, in the world own smartphones. There are jobs for app developers and data miners everywhere. To keep up, we're teaching our students coding and engineering concepts through our STEAM programs. 2, the world is becoming more complex. I cited the involvement of the Russian government in the presidential election cycle as an example. Our students must develop a global worldview and research skills to distinguish good sources of information from not so good sources of information to understand the world. In addition to our current curriculum, we've implemented the ALP program in our elementary schools and are implementing the IB diploma program at the high school. 3, language is key. Our students will have a competitive advantage in international business if they learn multiple languages. I gave examples of how keyboards with simplified Chinese characters opened the market to Asia, and how having a bilingual Spanish-speaking test engineer helped my American-based technology company support clients in South America. Here at GCSD, we are teaching Mandarin and Spanish to both our elementary and secondary students. 4, respect other cultures. I gave an example of an old guard Japanese corporation that created a false technical issue just to see whether my company would respect the social hierarchy we're dealing with them. When we showed respect, the technical issue disappeared and they said, "You have done well. We will continue to do business with you." Our International Baccalaureate program teaches students to be knowledgeable, caring, and open-minded, appreciating their own cultures and respecting the cultures of others. 5, becoming lifelong learners. Knowledge is growing exponentially, even if you exclude the number of cute cat videos being uploaded to YouTube daily and the amount of bad online courseware. As an example, way back in 1965 when I was a kid, 67,000 US patents were granted. In 1995, that had grown to 114,000 patents. And in 2015, it was 325,000 patents. There are now roughly 5 times as many inventions per year as there were patented when I was a kid. Whatever happened to the key punch operator, the switchboard operator, the record press operator, the typesetter? The technology moved on. The old jobs were supplanted. The same thing will happen to jobs that are popular today, but new jobs will take their places. The jobs your students will do when they are middle-aged adults may not have been invented yet. You can't teach them the knowledge they will need because it doesn't exist. You can make them better learners so that the knowledge becomes available and they can adapt. We are implementing the universal design for learning so that not only will the lessons you create for students provide multiple means of engagement, representation, and action and expression, your students will become self-aware learners. If something doesn't click, they can say, "Oh, I'm lacking prior knowledge," or "Maybe I should try a different learning modality," or connect what I need to learn with something I'm interested in. If they know how to learn best, they should be able to apply those skills throughout their lives. Technology, research skills, multiple languages, and respect for other cultures are all parts of what we need to teach our students to survive and thrive in the world. Our STEAM program, the Advanced Learning Program, the International Baccalaureate Program, World Languages, and Universal Design for Learning are in place to meet these needs. Again, thank you for all your hard work, and keep it up. On behalf of the Greenburgh Central School District Board of Education, ni hao yun, buena suerte. Good luck. Thanks.
Okay, I'd like for the union leadership to come forward to bring greetings to each and every one of you on behalf of their respective union. So we're going to start with Ms. Vicki Kravis, who represents GCSO.
Technology here, guys. All right. Good morning, GCSO members. Good morning. I want to hear something. You're here? Good. And welcome back to those of you whom we haven't seen since June, and to those of you who have been, those of us who have been working every day this summer. Boy, do we deserve that 4-day weekend we're getting. There's a change in our schedules, so we don't have that coveted 3:15 spot right anymore. Thankfully, we're meeting at 9:30 in the Wise Room, GCSO in the Wise Room at 9:30. It'll be a short meeting because there was a short meeting planned, but I need all of you to be there. And since we're all here, you just go there and then we can go back to our respective, to the scheduled places. I want to wish everyone a fulfilling and exciting year 2018-2019. Thank you.
Mr. Dan Ribby for GTF. Come on, no, Mr. Ribby.
Thank you, Dr. Chase. Hello to everybody. Thank you. I wasn't kidnapped. I'm here. Quickly, I just want to say, if my executive, in the spirit of moving things fast, if my our executive council, please stand up. These are the people that help run the union, your union. So I want to acknowledge them. Thank you. Also, again, in the spirit that Dr. Chase at 9:30 will have a GTF meeting here, especially for the new teachers. Okay. Also, I think this is the 27th time I've done this. So after a while, it's somewhat bittersweet. But with that said, and Dr. Chase, if you bear with me, we haven't done this in a while. If any teacher or TA that has 30 or more years, please stand up. Stay standing. Stay standing. Hold on. Don't sit. Don't sit. Don't sit. Come on. I don't put that. And I apologize. I'm expediting it for the names. If you have 25 plus years, please stand up. That's me. 25. Stay standing, please. If you have 20 plus years, please stand up. Stay standing. Don't sit. If you have 15 plus years, please stand up. If you have 10 years, please stand up. It's all good. You'll eventually get to the 27. If you have 5 plus years, please stand up. You know where I'm going with this. If you got 1 plus years, please stand up. And if you got 1 plus days, please stand up. Now this represents over 4,000 years of teaching here, roughly. So that speaks for itself. So have a good year to everybody. Remember, we do the business of the district. We enrich the lives of our students. Never forget that. We'll see you at 9:30. Thank you. Thank you.
So, Mr. Ribby, just for clarification purposes, no, they're going to be here at 9:30? Okay, fantastic. Yep, you got it. Okay. Patricia Simone, Vice President of the Administrators Union. You want to stay here or you want to come up?
Good morning, everyone. I just want to echo my colleagues and wish you a welcome back. We are going to have a fabulous 2018-19 school year. On behalf of the Greenburgh Administrators Union, we have fabulous colleagues. I want to give them a shout out to all of my colleagues. Please raise your hands. We are here to support you, and at the heart of Greenburgh Central School children, or the district, are the children, and we need to remember that. We are all here to support the success of every single one of our children. So have a fabulous year, and thank you, Dr. Chase.
Thank you. Is Neffy Cruz here, representing CSEA? Okay, well, on behalf, again, of the Greenburgh Central School District, it is our pleasure to welcome each and every one of you back. Now, before we get started in the celebration of the 2018-2019 school year, I'd like to introduce you to some new folk who are among us today. So we do have new administrators who are here today, and we're very happy to welcome them to the Greenburgh Central School District family. We wish to acknowledge and recognize Mrs. Catherine Adore, who will be responsible for ALP, as well as music and arts. Catherine, please stand. Ms. Lori Bauer is our interim director for pupil personnel. Please stand. Amy Pages, I've already elevated you, honey. Assistant Principal for Woodlands Middle High School. And here's an interesting concept. Mr. Dean Parker, who will be Dean of Students at Woodlands Middle High School. We are very proud to have hired within the real McCoy, Mr. Mike McCoy, our new athletic director. She started as a TA at the Greenburgh Central School District 20 years ago. And today, I introduce you our new principal of Richard J. Bailey Elementary School, Ms. Shifa Ratzi. Oh, we've been busy hiring some new folk here. So, we want to also introduce our non-instructional staff. These are the people who are boots on the ground and always do not get the recognition they deserve. But please know you are appreciated and you are definitely part of the Greenburgh Central School District family. Ms. Kimberly Johnson, Ms. Samuel Alvarez, Sherry Marino, Sonia Giacomo. Teresa Pellegrino is back, everybody. And Mr. Anthony Kahanya. Please stand and let us know who you are and welcome to the family. So you notice I have some names at the bottom, which is to your left. How many of you know that we also have Ms. Damaris Lugo, who is now our new registrar? Damaris, I see you in the back. Stand up, please. And I have to acknowledge our security staff. Last year, we did some robust training. They went through rigorous processes in order to become school safety officers. Many of them have moved from school monitors. I really don't know all of the nuances because I know that the business office is still working that out. But I wish to ask those of us who are here and you have moved from a school safety monitor to a school safety officer, please stand up. Stand up. That's Miss Anna Gibson, Doug Swayze, Miss Linda Thomas, Licio. Give it up for John and Leah Jackson. Are there more? I know there are more. They're outside working, they're busy. I do know for, I don't want to miss anyone, Miss Bianca. There you go, Miss Bianca Easton. There you go, Miss Bianca. I know Mr. Todd Postel was another one. I know that Mr. Santos is another one. Congratulations for a job well done, and we are so happy to hire our own within and have elevated them to positions. So, we also have new instructional staff. So I am going to ask Ms. Courtwright to please stand, Ms. Gabbard, Ms. Gorman, Mr. Mandel Holland, Ms. Hillary Johnson, Ms. Jurgensen, Ms. Catcher, Ms. Khan, Dr. Lloyd, Mr. Mignon, are you here? Ms. Pires, Ms. Stover, Ms. Tennyson, Ms. Wigger, Ms. Vaca, and Ms. Zhang, please stand. We want to see who you are. Congratulations and welcome. You made a fantastic decision by coming to the Greenburgh Central School District. I also want to acknowledge Ms. Lenore Rotinelli and Ms. Shayna Ware. Please stand. Shayna is a Woodlands graduate. And Ms. Rotinelli came to us toward the end of the school year, but she's still new to this district and should be acknowledged nonetheless. We also have two people within who will be working in our new OUT program. That's our advanced learning program, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that just shortly. I want to acknowledge Ms. Robin Alves and Ms. Nicole Mangum. Where are you? Stand up. There you go. Congratulations, ladies. We have much to celebrate in the school district. I've always given this story. When I arrived here in 2012, so many people told me, before I left Mount Vernon, why in the world would you want to come to Greenburgh? Well, I came here because I saw an opportunity to join what was already here to help move this district forward. And I have to tell you, all the naysayers that had everything negative to say about this school district, I really believe we have done a fantastic job at proving them wrong. There you go. We have done a fantastic job at proving them wrong. We have some of the best students that I've ever met. We have some of the most dedicated people working in this school district that I have ever met. We have a board that's committed to excellence. You don't see that everywhere. And I'm not saying that because my board president is here. I'm saying that because that is the honest truth. I have administrators who are committed to making sure that their staff have all the resources to be successful. We have community engagement that is amazing. We have community support that is amazing, from our elected officials to our business leaders, from municipality leaders. We are on the move. I said to you 4 years ago that we're going to become a world-class school district. We're going to talk just very briefly today about how well we are actually meeting that goal. I could not be more proud to be the superintendent of Greenburgh Central School District, and I must tell you, I think that I'm one of the lucky ones. So, let's talk. Our roadmap toward world-class status. There was a strategic plan that Mr. Warner spoke about a little bit earlier. You've heard about the strategic plan. There were 5 major focal points. Update the district facilities and technology, expand stakeholder engagement, align and articulate curricula, stabilize leadership, and fiscal stability and efficiency. Each year, the board takes these focal points and create yearly goals. Last year, for the 2017-2018, your principals shared with you what those goals were. And we're going to talk about how well we met those goals today. And Dr. Valente is going to help me for a portion of it. Can we give it up to Dr. Valente, who's done an amazing job at helping us to reach our instructional goals and then some. So let's talk briefly. We are now a school district where there's a one-to-one device per student in all of our schools, where students will have access to technology. During the summer, we've done a great job at enhancing and upgrading our Wi-Fi connectivity. I am able to send text messages from the high school right now. Last year, I could not. Today, ladies and gentlemen, today, in a few hours from now, we are going to launch a brand new website. I ask you to go on to our our main page, and please let us know what you think about this new website. It is interactive, it is more user-friendly, and it's chock full of information. So let's talk about some things that we've done, and it's time to give some shout-outs. We're going to spend a lot of time giving shout-outs and clapping and celebrating one another, because that's what we do. We replaced the PA system at Highview Elementary School as part of the strategic plan. We repaired the stair treads at Woodlands Middle High School. They were raggedy. We fixed them because our kids deserve to walk up the steps and not have to trip as they're walking up the steps. We've renovated the gymnasium floor at Highview Elementary School and Woodlands Middle School. We did it this year. We replaced 2 boilers at Woodlands Middle High School. Cost us $1 million, but we did it. We replaced a new sewer line at the mansion. We could not use the bathroom at the mansion, but we replaced the sewer line. Our facilities are aging. Hold on. We replaced a new water main pipe. We erected a new fence at Richard J. Bailey Elementary School. We replaced a door access at Lee F. Jackson Elementary School. And we solidified funding so that we can have a new playground at ECP. Aren't you tired of seeing that yellow police tape at ECP? It's hideous. We deserve better. But this did not happen by chance. It happened because we have a world-class facilities staff led by Mike Falcone in the back. Shout outs to you and kudos for keeping our facilities. When people say, ooh, Greenburgh Central School District, the facilities are dirty, there's garbage, it's trashy, I say you're a lie. You are a liar. Why would 3 major film companies want to come into our school district and film here? Just 3 weeks ago, we had another scout come by to see our district because we are on the preferred list, because we are a fabulous school district. I also would like to acknowledge the facilities staff, the custodians, the head custodians for doing a fantastic job in keeping us safe, keeping our schools clean, keeping your classrooms clean. And for moving furniture when they weren't supposed to. You know what I'm talking about. You know some of you not right. So, but they do it anyway. Focus area number 2. Expand stakeholder engagement. Well, I have to say, we are one school district where we engage our communities. In just a couple of weeks, we're going to welcome our dads to take their children to school, and that's always a big deal in our district. We have a facilities committee that has helped Ms. O'Neill and Mr. Falcone to devise a 5-year facilities plan. We put together a construction advisory committee. Many of you have heard the buzz that we might be going out for a bond referendum. It is really looking real. Aren't you tired of sitting in a hot auditorium? We can do better. We can do better. We deserve better, our children deserve better, and our children deserve to be in a world-class facility if we're going to provide world-class instruction. Teacher and leadership meetings with architect and construction manager, and our Facebook following has increased tremendously. Moreover, our mobile app. How many people are driving sometimes and you hear, yay, and it scares the mess out of you? I know it happens to me, but that's our Facebook app and our mobile app. Our mobile app has been wildly popular. We have well over 2,000 subscribers. We don't even have 2,000 students in our school district. We have people all over the world subscribe to our mobile app. So whenever something is featured on our app, everyone gets the message and knows what's happening in the Greenburgh Central School District. And I want to again thank Laser Alert for putting that app together and for all that he does, wherever he is. Okay, focus area number 3. I'm going to ask Dr. Valente to come up to talk about focus area number 3, and I want us to just really sit back and acknowledge the work that we've been doing in the area of curriculum and instruction. We are on, in many areas, not all, in many areas, an upward trajectory, and I want you to see the fruits of your labor in the 2017-2018 school year. So, Dr. Valente?
Thank you very much, Dr. Chase. And in the interest of time, you can read the English language like I can. And so, in effect, we are a K-12 district dedicated to Wilson intervention. We're seeing its results. We're beginning to see upticks in terms of students being able to move from fundamental levels, which are your foundations, into just words, and then those that need Tier 1 intervention. We're proud to say we have upwards of about 12 to 15 teachers who we trained at our expense in order to do that. I do this myself, right? Yeah. Okay. Level of literacy, let me talk for a minute about that. I want to thank our literacy staff, and in particular Lori DeAndrea, for introducing us. Give her a big shout out. For introducing us to Fontes and Pinnell and several of our neighboring districts. We are now able to gauge at each grade level the instructional level that a student is leaving in June with respect to their competency to read. And this is extremely important because it's another metric we can use conjoined to Wilson data, iReady data, and of course grades 3 through 8 ELA data. We're taking a look here at improving student achievement by 5% each year. Now, quite frankly, Mr. Warner talked about the strategic plan. I don't want to spend a lot of time going into each part of it, but the number you see at the far left, okay, is a very high number, 93%. If you go back 3 years ago, that number was 88%. So, in effect, when you have 92% of our students who have passed the English Regents, that's a big shout out for the English faculty, and let's give them a round of applause. I'm a purist when it comes to data, so I'm going to say 92% is very statistically close, but if someone said, did we meet the goal, I'm going to say no, until we get to 93 or higher. But what are we doing to get there? We're moving the Regents exam which has been in January to June. We think that additional 5 or 6 months will help both teachers and students get us to a closer rate to our next goal, which you see there at the bottom of the chart. If you look now at mathematics, in 2 of 3 instances, the math department was able to reach the goal set by the board. Now, this is a steep goal. Every year it goes up 5% from the benchmark year. So I think our math department deserves a big round of applause for achieving 2 out of 3 here at the high school. Okay? What are we looking at in math? We're looking at engaging more students in Algebra 1, namely all of them, and taking the regions. We'd like to see a larger number of students moving into geometry, and Matt Smith has initiated that as of this September with a summer program we just completed. And ultimately, we'd love, give him a round of applause. Go ahead. Matt's doing a lot of very good work with his team to move us along, and obviously moving into higher levels of math, Algebra 2, Trig. This will also impact not only Regents diploma rates, which have been moving up, but it also will impact advanced Regent diploma rates, which leverage our students better when we talk about them for select colleges. Now here we have sort of a mixed bag. We've got to do a little bit of work in science, but science, as you know, is a very challenging area. In science, we hit our target in terms of earth science, but we need to give him a round of applause. Mr. Tokarski is there. Nice work, Tom. Et al. And Al. Whoever Al is. Who is it now? Jennifer Belfiore. Jennifer Belfiore. Okay. And in the other areas, we are taking some steps in order to upgrade and begin to meet board goals. Again, it's a steep climb up, but we're not afraid to take the journey. That's the key point. Social studies, look what they did. They wiped the slate clean, they hit a grand slam, and both in global studies and U.S. history, they delivered. So the Board of Education saw this data, they're very pleased with it, they're very proud of the direction we're going in, and quite frankly, they're amazed that we're able to move in this very positive direction, representative of our 7 to 12 effort. Okay? We are now at stabilizing leadership. Dr. Chase, did you want to say a word here?
So another big component that we did not mention, and I think is worthy of a standing ovation, if you will. We graduated 96.4% of our graduates from class of 2018. Come on, you can do better than that. That's huge. That is huge. Yes, you did that. You did that. Absolutely. When I speak of it, when I go to meetings, and when people ask me about my demographics, I first tell them what my demographics, so first give them the number, and then when I give them the demographics, everyone's eyes get wide. And I said, well, why? What was your expectation? We're upset that we didn't reach 100 yet. We're gonna get there. Congratulations to everyone for the 96.4% graduation rate, because it started from ECP and it ended at the high school. So goal number 4, stabilize leadership, and what the board wanted to do is to complete the UDL training, and now it's up to us to make sure that we fully implement it with fidelity. So we've held 2 live sessions involving all teachers and 80% of our teaching assistant staff. And we've also held 2 Universal Design for Learning webinars this year. As it relates to fiscal stability and efficiency, which is goal number 5, in the 2017-2018 school year, we had a fiscal planning committee We also developed a 5-year budget forecast. And we've also identified sources for additional revenue to our school district. That means money coming in. The My Brother's Keepers grant that's led by no other than Mr. Anthony Gaines. And Al, because you have a wonderful team of leaders planted in each building. I know that Mr. Polanco, Ms. Tara Parker, I know that Thorpe Van Diver, we have Mendel Holland, we have Ms. Stellato, and I hope I haven't missed anyone. But these people have worked with 125 of our males to help them to be successful when they leave our care here at the Greenburgh Central School District, and so we thank them for their work. But it has brought in revenue. I did mention that there were 3 movie shoots here. You know they paid us to come here, so that's revenue coming in. We had the likes of Martin Scorsese here on our campus. We had Robert De Niro here on our campus. This is what we are attracting. And if you know anything about the maestro, better known as Martin Scorsese, he's not going to come to a junky, dirty, filthy place. He chose Greenburgh Central School District to direct a movie. Currently in theaters, there is a movie titled 8th Grade, where it was filmed right here in this very school. The trailer shows the Freelo Center, it shows the breezeway, it shows the cafeteria, and it even shows some of our beautiful children here at the Greenburgh Central School District. If you get a chance, go to the Jacob Burns Center, or you can go to the movie theater next to CVS, between CVS and Rockinelli's. 8th Grade is showing. Very proud of that. It's not there anymore? Cinema 100, too. There are teacher grants for small projects, and there's other funding sources, including the National School Lunch Program, which was beneficial to Highview Elementary School, and also an equipment assistance grant. We brought money in, ladies and gentlemen, and we're still looking to bring in more. So, those are just some of the things as it relates to the board's goals. But guess what? There was so much more, so get ready. I am proud to say that GTF and GCSD has come to agreement for a contract, and we're waiting for that to be ratified. Y'all not happy? Oh, take that up with your union then, I'm sorry. We opened a welcome center. Here's what else we did, and as you drive onto this beautiful campus, you've probably noticed these flags hanging that display our beautiful children. You probably noticed that there is this new logo. You saw the step and repeat. You see the new stationery. We have rebranded our school district. We've done such a fantastic job at rebranding the school district with a fabulous team. And let me just give a shout out to that team. Evelyn McCormick, our director for public relations, Steve Lewis, Laser Alert, Miguel Barrios, who's a parent, are really wonderful in helping to put our communications plan and communicate better with our community. Our plan was so well received that we had the opportunity to present Anaheim, California this summer at the NSBR National Conference. Did you know that Hartsdale is rated the 24th best place to live in the state of New York? Did you guys know that? Hold on, I'm not done. But let me tell you why. There were 3 criteria. It was family, it was the proximity to New York City, and it was its public schools. That would be us. Here's another added value. We gave Greenburgh Central School District such beautiful light when we were searching for Lin-Manuel Miranda to come to watch our students perform in the Heights. We've gotten so much coverage from it that it actually went well across seas to other countries. Because of that, and although he had the shingles and could not come to see our students, I was told by many credible sources that he did get the message. But forget all of that. The students, our beautiful, thoughtful students, decided that the proceeds for their Friday night event would go to a school in Puerto Rico. to support their efforts. So, here's what happened. Under the leadership of Miss Claire Cronin, who's the art teacher extraordinaire. Where are you, Claire? I saw her. Oh, she's so shy. But, you know, our art and music department is pretty special. They're pretty special. Yes, I know all of them. They are. They're pretty special. We know Mary Frances Perkins is special. We know. We love her. We love her. But Claire Cronin, I'm going to shout you out for a moment. Here's why. Because you work with the students. Number one, we had students who were considered to be E&L students who were speaking Spanish fluently on the stage. And Spanish was not their first language. Neither was English. You would have never known. I felt like I was in Washington Heights when I watched it. Number two, because we were searching for Lin-Manuel Miranda, we had standing room only that night. And because of that, we were able to collect $2,500 to send to a school in Puerto Rico, thanks to our students and your leadership. Other great things happening in our school district. The after-school ballet program at Highview, ridiculously popular. The absolute cutest thing I've ever seen. To see these little girls in tutus and dancing around, but they were working with some of the best in the business. You're talking about people who have performed and directed on Broadway, who came to our school district to work with our children. This is no junky school district. This is a top-notch school district because we are attracting top-notch people. And so we're looking forward to continuing that grant and continuing that program and possibly even expanding on that program. Something else that really became popular in our school district. We had a student. Where's Mr. Vaccaro? Mr. Vaccaro reached out of the kindness of his heart. No one told him to do it. He just said, you know, here's a student who talked about possibly not finishing school, and he says, I'm not having that because I have high expectations for that student and I know he can be successful. Am I right, Ms. Gibson? Where are you, honey? Am I right? He believed in your child, and he reached out to your child's hero, and he contacted your son. And I forgot the fighter's name. What's his name? What is it? Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega reached out to him and inspired your son. And let me ask you a question. Is he excited about starting school? He's excited about starting school. That is because of what you started, Mr. Vaccaro. That is what high expectations look like. That is what high expectations look like, and that's what someone who genuinely cares about our students. I thank you for that. That was huge. And you know, Brian Ortega now is following me on Twitter as a result of that. Some more added value. We launched a Mandarin Chinese program in this school district when people told us it couldn't happen. It is probably one of the most popular programs we currently have. And we've hired some fantastic teachers to fulfill those positions, to teach our students a world language that will probably be the most widely spoken language in the next 10 years. We are preparing our students for opportunities that don't yet exist. Imagine, coupled with a strong offering and exposure to STEAM, having Mandarin Chinese as a second language, can you imagine the places our students can go? I remember when we first brought the Mandarin Chinese program to the district and folk told me, that'll never happen. Why would you want to expose these kids to Mandarin Chinese? Tell me, why not? Well, we did, and it is popular. And when students had to select the language that they'd like to take in the future or in the next year, the majority of the kids wanted to take Mandarin Chinese. The parents love it. We've even had school districts, so-called affluent school districts, come by our school district to sit with Brendan Gallivan, who is our director for IB, World Languages, and E&L, to ask how did we implement this and how did we do this? Because it is a fantastic program, and I'm thankful to our Mandarin Chinese teachers, and I'm also thankful to Mr. Brendan Gallivan for his leadership. Thank you for all that you do. More to our school district. I'm not done because we've done some fantastic things and you need to hear about it, and I want you to walk away knowing that we are moving toward world-class status. We've uniformed our literacy instructional strategies through the Orton-Gillingham model, which having a Wilson's reading system that is a continuum from elementary through high school. We've launched the Advanced Learning Program from K to 6. I'm going to ask Dr. Valente to come up for about 3 minutes to talk about the Advanced Learning Program, and then we're going to close out.
Thank you very much, Dr. Chase. ALP, if you're climbing, you're going to the stars. Advanced Learning Program, that's the visual. We looked at our student body in general, and we identified a number of youngsters who were not achieving the learning zone. Now, what is the learning zone? This is work done by Vygotsky. You can look it up. But Vygotsky argued as a researcher that many students stay in their comfort zone. The comfort zone is what I can do without my teacher's help. How do I get students to go beyond their comfort zone into a learning zone? That is to say, do more based on my capacity with my teacher's help, but quite frankly, I don't want to get into an anxiety zone where I'm stressed. So we saw the ALP program was moving youngsters into that zone. We've identified a cohort of youngsters, grades 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. A cohort means a section of 22 to about 25 students, boys and girls, who will be part of this ALP program our first year. We looked at the data after we had selected the children. Now, how did we select these children? Number one, it was all data-driven. We didn't go to principals or teachers or administrators or superintendents or school board and say, who should be in ALP? We gave students the COGAT, okay, which is an ability level test, and we gave every student the STAR, ELA, and Math, which is an academic test. It was done strictly by the tests that students had not been exposed to before. Number two, it was done by two teachers at the time, Shipa Rossi and Lori DeAndrea. Only those two. Nobody else touched the tests. Nobody else touched the students for purposes of validity and reliability. So, we identified these students based strictly by the book, on the data. They earned their way. Very important point. Corollary I'd like to make. We identified students based on the COGAT who folks came to us and said, that child doesn't belong in an advanced learning program based on his or her performance. We said, but the data is telling us this child is in the 95th to 99th percentile ability level. We found a lot of gems out there, folks, right here in Greenburgh. Right here in Greenburgh. And that's very important for all of us. And we're going to make that part of our professional development. There are students who have enormous capacity. We don't want to miss that capacity. We don't want to miss that ability. And we're going to use whatever instrument we need to pay for in order to unearth every child's talent so that every child is given an equal chance in order to do well in our schools. Okay? If someone said to me, identify the ideal child, does his homework or her homework, sits quietly, listens to what I'm doing, is engaged with other students, performs well, comes every day, what have I just done? I've profiled a fairly normal pupil. ALP has identified students outside the perimeter to some degree. Students who we don't normally identify. Students who are somewhat unruly. Students who may not do their homework daily. Students who may come with some personal problems and issues. and that's critical, and that's important, and they need to be served. Now look at that on gender. If I had sat in my office, closed the door, and said, let me create a perfect gender distribution for ALP, grades 1 to 6, for all the students in the program, 138, I wouldn't have come up with 50 to 50. I would have said, let me make it 52-48. It came out exactly 50-50, by the numbers, by the data. I want to show you something else by the data. Look at your ELA, grades 1 to 6. This is extremely important because this community wants to know what is the distribution of students in a program. Are you going to work just with your Asian and white youngsters? And the answer is categorically no. The answer is the data drove us to African Americans, 28% of the group. The data drove us to Asian, 17%, Hispanic Latino, 30%, and white, 24%. Now, if that's not demographically representative of a community, I don't know what is. Let me take it a step further. Somebody said, well, is that the exact demographic distribution of Greenburgh? Answer is no. Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. A good program should be reflective of the students in the program. If we had minuscule representation from certain segments of our population, we'd have a real problem. But that is a healthy representation and something that we should broadcast to the larger community and be proud of. Look what happened in math. Almost identical. Driven by the data. The COGAT, the STAR, ELA, and math. And if you don't believe me, ask Lori, ask Jeepa, ask some of the folks who did the groundwork, Todd Mensch. I didn't touch the data. And we had an appeal process, you should know, because if a parent felt, hey, my child should have been in that program, Catherine Nador chaired a committee of Lori and Todd, and they got 30 plus appeals, some of which they honored, some of which they did not. And we had another level of appeal that came to me. Only 2 folks appealed to me, and quite frankly, a judgment was rendered. But this composition is based, for the most part, I would say virtually, on the data. And that is an innovative program. This year, we're going to monitor it. We'll see how well it works. We'll tweak it where necessary. And Dr. Chase did mention the teachers who are involved. I do want to mention also Michelle Gigliotti is bringing up the science part at Bailey, so you can give her a shout out as well. I think looking ahead, Dr. Chase.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Ms. Gigliotti, I apologize. Shout out one more time to Ms. Gigliotti, please. Looking ahead, you know what? In closing, we are keenly focused on our advanced learning program and making sure that it is successful. And as Dr. Valente shared, we've had parents to appeal that program. A couple of weeks ago, I've had parents to come by to see me, several families to come by to see me because they're thinking about returning their children to the Greenburgh Central School District. And when I ask, go ahead, you can shout that out. That's a beautiful thing. But when I asked them why, because I had to ask, there was one parent who's bringing her child bringing her child to the Greenburgh Central School District. He was in a school in Harlem. And she said, because of your STEAM offerings. And I know the direction that we're going with STEAM. So Todd Mensch, I thank you for your leadership. I thank the teachers who are in the science department, technology department, our technology team, and those who are offering, and Shayna Ware, your job is going to be so important, offering coursework to prepare our students for these vast positions that are not yet developed, where our kids can be on the cutting edge. We're going to have that here at the Greenburgh Central School District. I'm anticipating that we will have full authorization for the IBDP program. That is very monumental, and I'll tell you why. Because we discovered that there are only 8 school districts in the country, 8 school districts in the country where IB is alive and well from K through 12. And if we get the full authorization, we will be number 9. That is something to celebrate in the country. So I thank Steve Grounds, Mr. Brendan Gallivan, and all of the people and our guidance counselors, especially Mr. Foy, for getting this started. He was the engine to get this moving with IB. I'll never forget Dr. Foy came into my office and said, Dr. Chase, are we really going to do this? I said, yes. He said, if we're really going to do this, then I'm going to go ahead and move this forward. And he got the engine rolling with Brendan Gallivan, and he passed the baton over to Steve Rounds, and we've been doing excellent work in moving the IB program forward. World languages. We're going to continue with our world languages and continue to expand our Mandarin Chinese program, as well as enhance our foreign language offerings in the area of Spanish as well. I've already talked about our STEAM offerings and our partnerships. We will continue working very diligently with our community, stakeholder engagement, and we're also keenly committed to making sure that you all are working at your optimum. And we can only do that by continuing to provide you with professional development. I know Mr. Ribby asked about people who have 30 years and 25 years, and I am entering my 25th year as an educator. 25th. That is a quarter of a century. That is a lot of years of my life as an educator. And at 25 years old, to have 25 years as an educator, that went right over your heads. It must be hot in here. But 25 years as an educator, I have to tell you, this time of year, I still get excited. I haven't lost the passion, and I haven't lost the excitement. And I know those of you who are seasoned educators, such as myself, you haven't lost it neither, because you're sitting here today, cannot wait to get started to meet our students. But just because we are seasoned doesn't mean that we cannot learn something new. And sometimes we resent learning things new because we feel that we know it all, because we've been there, done that, and it's the flavor of the month. But guess what? Each year we have new children before us. So it's important that we stay abreast with the latest trends and that we understand new strategies to meet the needs of students that have vast and different needs each and every year. The last thing on my list is the bond referendum of December 2018. We're going to have more robust conversations about bringing us into the 21st century. I started off by saying we deserve better than to sit in this hot auditorium on Convocation Day in August. Our students deserve to be in a building that is new, that is energy efficient, that meets their curriculum needs, that our special education students have a room that's dedicated to them for their sensory needs, that our teachers have a facility that meets compliance requirements as per New York State, where we don't have to worry about things in the building that are not working, where we don't have to worry about closing down the buildings because of water main break, or we don't have a functioning boiler. It's not fair to our children. Our buildings are aging. I have one school that was built in 1929. It will cost nearly $10 million just to bring it to code for health and safety. We have other buildings that are almost in disrepair. So we will be having more conversations about what a bond referendum will look like so that we all can be in a 21st facility, so that we can provide 21st century experiences for our children. In closing, I just want to talk a little bit about expectations. Dr. Valente spoke briefly about the OUT program. Through the OUT program, we discovered some rock star students who probably would have never otherwise have been discovered. Those rock star students are not the kids who come with the neat homework that was probably erased or done by someone else. These rock star students are not scoring level 4 on the English language arts and the math examination. These rock star students are not the ones that are raising their hands every day in class, and these rock star students are probably the ones that are misbehaving from time to time in your class. These are students who are now given an opportunity to be challenged in ways they've never been challenged before. We have high expectations for these kids. I spoke about an expectation gap last year. I'm going to speak about it again. Most of the time when you hear the word achievement gap, I'm going to tell you something. It doesn't exist. There's an expectation gap. Because kids can achieve. An achievement gap is usually related to ethnicities not meeting the same standards as other ethnicities. What Dr. Valente showed you in a chart were children of diverse ethnicities performing at the same level as other children and who have abilities to do great things. We should increase our expectations for our students. And I'm going to tell you something that I learned in my 25 years as an educator. Children will rise and fall to expectations. When your expectations here, you have put a ceiling on children. But when your expectations are beyond the roof, you'll be surprised how well our kids can perform. Let's continue to keep our expectations high. Our children deserve that. Our children deserve our very best. And as those school buses pull up in front of the schools on September 4th, I know that you will be there greeting the children with your high expectations, knowing that these kids have the ability to soar to areas that they probably have never imagined. Encourage them. Tell them they're great. Welcome them back and let them know that they're special. Tell them that they look nice. Tell them that they're smart. Because when you tell children those things, they believe those things. But if we ignore those things and don't recognize their talents, they'll stay here. I've got great kids in the school district, and I say that all the time. I have children that I believe in. If we did not have great children, we would not have a 96.4% graduation rate. We can get to 100, ladies and gentlemen. We can get to 100. Help me to get us there. This is not about me. Someone asked me, are we doing these things to pad my resume? Let me tell you something, my resume is already padded. Well, my resume is already padded. I don't need this to pad my resume. I don't get out of my bed every morning and stay up late with all of this on my brain because I have nothing else better to do. I believe in the work that we're doing, and I'm committed here until we fulfill the promise of becoming a world-class school district. It's not about me, and it definitely isn't about you. It is about those kids who will be entering our school on September 4th. So let's go out here and let's make it happen. Let's make this a stellar school year, and let's move this district toward world-class status because we are already on an upward trajectory. I thank each and every one of you for the work that you've done. I look forward to great things from all of you, from our beautiful, helpful, supportive secretarial staff, to our technology department, to our PE department, to our English department who's on fire right now from what I'm hearing, to our elementary teachers, to our out teachers, to our Mandarin teachers, to our special educators, to people like Mr. Papaccio. Where is he? I call on him every year because I think he's like the best of the best. To our principals, our assistant principals, and our deans, I keep you all in my prayers every single night so that you can be the best that you can be for the children that we all serve. The community is counting on you, I'm counting on you, but most importantly, our children are counting on you. Let's have a great year. Thank you so much.